Hi, I'm Lara.
And I'm David.
Welcome to the Fix It in Photoshop series of video shorts.
In this episode, we are taking a break from Photoshop. In our last episode, we did a detailed walkthrough of the Dehancer Film plugin for Photoshop and Lightroom. In this episode, the folks at Dehancer have kindly asked us to take a look at their iOS and Dehancer Online plugins. You just saw a sneak peek of the iOS plugin, and unlike the Dehancer Photoshop and Lightroom plugin, both these apps are standalone. Let's start with the iOS app. Before we dive in, what are your first impressions?
Well, as a general rule, I don't use mobile versions of desktop apps. I find that even the Adobe ones lack the functionality of their bigger brothers. I was somewhat surprised when I looked at the Dehancer iOS plugin. They have had to scale down the interface to fit on a small screen, so for instance, the histogram views have gone. But overall, the features on the iOS version match the desktop version.
Let's take a test drive on the app now.
Okay. For this example, I'm going to use this image of a model next to a classic vehicle and see if we can give the image a retro film look. In the Presets tab of the app, you have over 60 photographic and movie films stored as presets. For each preset, you have full control over the tonal balance and effects such as film grain, halation, bloom, and many more. You also have the flexibility to create your own presets. I'm looking for something totally retro, so a black and white emulation is going to be most in keeping to match the era for this classic car. This Kodak Eastman XX is going to do the job. When you select a film profile, you have the option to set the exposure of the profile using the EV slider in order to get the desired color contrast. I want a more washed out look like the image has faded over time, so I'm pushing the exposure slightly. Next, I'm opening the Expand tab to adjust the black and white points to further enhance that washed out faded look. Let's go ahead and add some film grain. You can zoom into your image by simply pinching the display. I want a grainy feel to the image, but I don't want the effect to be too overwhelming in the highlights, so I'm reducing the effect slightly. I'm adding a little film damage effect now to give the image more realism. It's useful to pinch into the display when doing this to better visualize the changes. Okay, let's refine the image further with a creative vignette. I want the vignette to center around the model, so I'm adjusting the X and Y position slightly. At any point, you can tap and hold your image and you get a before-after view, which is a nice touch. Then, once you're done, you can export your work and it saves it to your photo gallery. Here's a before-after view so you can see what we achieved with the Dehancer iOS app.
In conclusion, the iOS app includes all the core features of the desktop application. The factory-provided film emulations are all high quality and are all tailorable to develop your style. A lot of work has gone into the user interface, and the app is simple to use. If you are a photographer on the move and want to limit the amount of gear you are carrying around with you, then the Dehancer iOS app is a credible toolset to process your images. Likewise, if you are a more casual photographer and just want a toolset to get great-looking photos onto social media, then the app also meets the requirement. The app could be regarded by some as expensive, but it's a case of you getting what you pay for, and the Dehancer iOS app does give quite a bit for your investment, so shouldn't disappoint. Okay, so that's the Dehancer iOS application. Now let's delve into the Dehancer Online application.
You access the app through your web browser by going to online.dehancer.com, then drag a JPEG, PNG, HEIC, or TIFF into the browser or click the browser button to upload the file. The online version allows you to choose from 48 vintage film presets, which can then be tailored with light, color, and effects profiles, and then further refined with individual sliders if you need. The first step, then, is to pick a film profile that you like. I want to go for a bleached look for this image and am selecting the Kodak Ektar 25 film setting with the Kodak Endura paper. The colors are a little too vibrant with the standard settings for this film, so I'm selecting the Light tab next to increase the brightness and reduce the overall contrast. If you don't like something, you have the option to go back into the tab setting and try something else. All your changes are non-destructive until the point you export the file from the browser. Because everything is visual, there's no learning curve, and the results are pretty instant. I can see the appeal of this app. Okay, I was playing with the Light tab there to demonstrate how you can adjust the settings. Now let's go into the Color tab and adjust the coloration of the image to achieve a more desaturated, bleached look. There you go. That's the effect I was looking for. Finally, I will add a creative vignette to help draw the eye into the center of the image. You can get a before-after view by pressing the eye icon at the top of the menu bar. When you're done, you press the export icon and get a choice of formats to download back to your device.
Let's cover some pros and cons of this software. Firstly, some of the positives. You can choose from 48 quality vintage film presets, which can then be tailored with light color and effects profiles, and then further refined with individual sliders if you need. It's significantly cheaper than, say, an Adobe Lightroom subscription, and you can disable the Dehancer subscription whenever you want. Its appeal is likely to be with more casual photographers that just want a great-looking photo without the Adobe learning curve. It's visually based without complex functions and sliders, so is ideal if you are on the go and/or just need to get your work out quickly. So for instance, getting your images onto social media when you are on the move. The software isn't going to be to everyone's taste though, particularly if you are an experienced Lightroom or Photoshop user. There are no detailed adjustments for whites, highlights, shadows, blacks, so you need a reasonably exposed picture to start with. That is, you can't use the software to recover images that were incorrectly exposed in the first place. You can't adjust aspect ratios when you are scaling or cropping into an image. We found the film grain effect to be a bit too harsh for the images we tried it with. The results you get are not as refined as you can achieve using the iOS or desktop applications. We'll drop a link to the Dehancer website in the description. If you purchase a product, use the promo code INFOCUS and you'll get a 10% discount on all Dehancer products, with the exception of the iOS app subscription. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you want to see more like this. It really helps the channel.